You know what? You gonna get crumpled again. Keep on.
I'm leaving that in there.
I'm perfectly fine with being crumpled.
What's good people? It's your boy CJ Randolph, and this is the Just a Messenger podcast, where we're just trying to change the world one message at a time. And what's that message? The message of hope, of love, of joy, and of peace. And speaking of hope, love, joy, and peace, and crumpling and uncrumpling and ups and downs, we got the Tims back for part infinity, because they're awesome storytellers, and actually I would have to say they're a fan favorite. I didn't tell y'all that, but people be like, when they coming back on? I'm like,
Really?
Whenever they want.
Don't let me hear that. I'm a star.
Right. But they're back. So, welcome back.
Appreciate it, brother. Always
Thank
a
you.
pleasure, and very much gratitude for hosting us on your
Oh,
platform.
definitely. So, I don't know. Y'all want to finish the story, the uncrumpling?
I don't
again,
remember.
Or
I do not remember where we left off, but it's whatever, man. It's so much depths and layers
Right,
we can
right.
get to, and all sorts, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I recall it was a lack of transparency and communication at the doorstep in the car. Of
The doorstep of the car.
yes, so he
when
got
I-
emotional,
Yeah.
and ran off, and you're like, "What the heck's going on?"
When I wanted to take you in my arms,
yeah,
and I threw you to the side like a
Oh, I thought
crumpled
we got
piece of
further
paper.
than that. I was just saying.
We might. I can't
we
remember.
got a little bit further than that, but we never
Oh,
actually really.
okay.
We got to looking at the rain.
Yeah, see, that was
Stuff
the
like
ring was
that.
after that,
Yeah.
and he didn't want to tell me divulge.
Do we have to relive this?
I'm just saying, I'm still.
Just a quick recap.
I'm
for
trying
y'all.
not to get triggered.
Me too. Because I wondered for months.
She's already triggered. Too late.
Too late.
Too late.
Very much so.
I think from that standpoint, what I know me and the wife were interested in is, I guess, from the wedding. Let's just go from there. The wedding and how y'all have been able to cultivate y'all's relationship. Once again, I follow them because they have the most hilarious back and forth on Facebook. And I think a lot of people are, I will give y'all kudos once again for being open enough to be goofy enough with each other to allow each other to take pictures of you snoring and stuff like that and post it and then go get back and forth. Because I know a lot of people just be like, that would be a deal breaker. But for y'all, it seems like that's like something that kind of keeps a little bit of glue, or that's just part of y'all's relationship, which is a beautiful thing.
Sometimes he takes it too far, though.
I am what I am.
Right.
But I will say in lens to what you just said.
Okay.
When you approach a relationship in good faith,
Oh, let's go.
you're able to put aside the representative that most people put up when they start a new relationship. And then, when the authenticity is there,
Yeah.
you're loving somebody or growing to love somebody that's truly themselves. So it's always consistency.
Ooh.
As opposed to somebody that's their representative falls away 6-8 months, year,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
Like, who is this person? This is not the person that I fell in love with, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
we strip the veils very early.
Yeah.
And if you're yourself, you never have to keep up a false facade. So. And she knew I was goofy. She knew I play. She knows I'm serious. She know I can have a mean streak at certain
Right.
times about certain things, and vice versa.
Pray for me.
Yeah, pray for her because I'm a handful. I look meek and mild and modest. I'm a handful, without a doubt. I am no doubt an outlaw.
Yeah.
In certain areas.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's the basis of it. So when we're, when you see us on Facebook.
Yeah.
It is authentic.
Right.
It is exponentially times 5 in person.
Right.
Like, that's just a glimpse of what we do. But it's all day, every day. It's something between the both of us. And most of the times, regardless of what Facebook says, she's the instigator. It's real life. It's Facebook. It's the family group chat, and I get blamed for all of it. It's all the way around.
He is messy though.
She would start something in the Facebook group chat, then my mama says, "Tony, you know you wrong for that. How am I getting in this? I didn't do nothing."
I could tell by that laugh. She's like,
It's
I'm not going to say yes, but I'm not going to say no.
plausible deniability.
Yeah. So, with that authenticity, after the crumpling and decrumpling, was there any fear of, let me say, either fear of I can't be authentic because of so-and-so, blah, 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 or hope of I hope or I realize that this is who she is, this is who he is, and this is what I want?
I don't think it was a matter of this is who I want, because we knew that from the first jump. Like from the first start, we knew that.
Okay.
She just got in her own way at the moment.
Okay.
The comeback around, I was attempting to get in my own way.
Oh, okay.
And so that's when I told you guys about, hey, when we hugged and all the emotions, like, who am I kidding? You know?
Right.
And at that point, for me personally, I can't speak for her, you know, there's no guarantee in love.
Right.
Like, it's a roll of the dice no matter what you do. You always have the possibility of getting your heart broken. Whatever the probability of the possibility, it's all on the situation.
Right.
But going into it, I knew, hey, this is something that could potentially happen. I think it's more than worth it to go back into it with another heaping of good faith.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we've always been ourselves from day one, so it wasn't, any type of fear from there.
Right.
When we made the decision that, hey, we're going to try to make this work again, you can be committed, and then as time progresses, you are like, you have those moments of, ooh, I wasn't prepared for this part.
Right,
I wasn't prepared for that part, right? So I think there may be instances and moments where you're like, oh man, that I bought off more than I could chew.
Right.
Is this going to work or whatnot? But I think what kept me, I would say, secure is the fact that I knew that neither one of us wanted to walk away from each other. We made that commitment together. It's like, hey, here's all the stuff with me. Here's all the stuff with him. Like, I accept you for who you are. I may not like some of the things that you do, right? But at the end of the day, like, we're not walking away from this. So whenever you have that, confirmation in the back of your mind at all times, it's like, this person accepts me totally for who I am, what he was trying to tell me the first go around, which I didn't necessarily know. But now that, it was a point of, I believe it, like I know, then that's the ultimate thing, the number one thing, at the end of the day.
I fully understand that. I looked at it, I get a second chance to actually be me.
Right.
And I'm going to go in without a representative. This is me. You either accept it or not, because this is how I'm going to be. And the only thing is, the good things are going to accelerate, because I'm looking for someone that helps me get more peace, which is going to help me bring more peace to life and everything that I touch also. Which means I don't have to worry about this and that and me. I'm a people pleaser. I still am, but to a point where I've learned how to be, understand myself and where my peace is, and where I can give energy in a certain amount of aspect, and then realize, I don't have energy, and I have to be honest with them. In the past, I wasn't honest. I just would power through it, and then it would hurt a different relationship, or my kids, or I'm snappy and just like, can I just take a nap for 4 hours? Like, just give me 4 hours, stuff like that. And it's just like, my fear was, you're going to judge me and look at me differently. My wife was like, I've been telling you to do this for like 3 weeks. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna go do it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's so refreshing to just be able to be you.
Most definitely.
Yeah, and that's what I see with y'all. Like, I fully believe that it's 5 times worse or 5 times better, just depending on which way you want to be on that individual. From what I see,
you should have heard the car ride over here, without a doubt.
Driving like Miss Daisy, I'm like, so where to go?
Look, I'm gonna say this one last time.
Slow vehicles.
If you wanted a passenger seat drive, you should have drove. It's my rules
Driving
if
on
I'm
the way
behind the
back.
steering wheel.
Right.
Okay, I'll take a nap then. I'll refill my cup.
Yeah. But yeah, and I think we need to display this more. That's why I'm so glad that y'all are back here, because to see a true depth in relationship, a lot of times we just show surface, and that's a good thing sometimes, and then it's a bad thing if as long as, which I consider y'all definitely mature and wise in y'all's journey, and then I see the depth of it with each other, to be able to be transparent enough to do that and post that, because some people would be too afraid, or one partner would be too afraid, and that could lead to a fight, and that could do it. But I think y'all have the ability and the desire to just show yourself.
Yeah, I mean, so everything that you're referring to is really low hanging fruit for us.
Yeah.
Because for us, like, I'm a deep thinker.
Mm-hmm.
She's in the Mariana Trench of depth. Like, and so a lot of the stuff that you guys see, like, we're so intimate, not in the passionate or the physical sense, but the intimacy of when you have uncomfortable conversations and when you get to know your partner at, beyond, that connect, those things that connect you when you share your deepest and darkest moments in life, right? So a lot of the conversations, whether we're fixing something, whether we're just talking through something, or if it's a situation or issue or a subject that we're talking about, like, there's a lot of hours of depth that come to us when we're talking, and we're not just joking, right? That the stuff that you guys see is it's just the tip of the iceberg,
right?
So it's easy to do because we're so, like, this is I got to tell this joke. Right, this is gonna lead into a small tangent, right? So
that's fine.
We're watching what show were we watching?
I don't know.
Ended up talking about natural preference.
Okay.
Of people who they're attracted to. So I was watching the Pop the Balloon show.
I was about to say Pop the Balloon.
I was watching Pop the Balloon, and I like to get a kick out of folks who get in their own way. You know, and sometimes people pop the balloon when they hear something from somebody else, and it may not apply to them, or they come out like, pop. She's like, why you popped your balloon? You said you didn't like short people. I said, no, he was too short. You would have been fine.
Right.
Now you can't get your balloon back. Right.
Exactly.
And so I'm chuckling up at these guys, especially the men. Yes. Like, how insecure are you at 35, 32, 40 to where you can't hear and communicate what a woman is? So you're really not paying attention. You're moving off of emotion rather than reality of what's going on. And so I'm over here talking, and she's like, here she is, starting with me, right? I know this ain't no voice.
Right, that is not my voice.
But fire for effect.
Right.
I don't know what you talking stuff for. I'm not your natural preference. You like brown skinned girls, right? All that yada, 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 yada.
Right,
and I'm like, okay, natural preference of what I'm naturally gravitated to does not mean the person who I'm best fit for. So she was like, well, she starts with that mouth, that old mouth, starts yapping and gapping. And so I hit her with a drop the mic moment. I said, do not confuse my natural preference with my destiny.
Ooh.
Yeah, shut her down real fast. And so I say that to say, so when you know somebody's your destiny and aligned with you, right? So when we do those things and we get into those depths of conversations, and it could be whether it's positive or we're fixing something that went real bad, because we do have our moments. Right? Do not get it twisted. We put in a lot of work to put a smile
Right.
when she's good, and that knowing that person is for you no matter what, like she mentioned earlier, is what grounds you for when those rocky times hit, that you won't deviate, and you, regardless of how bad it feels or uncomfortable it feels, you know that on the other end you're gonna be stronger and have a more solid foundation, because in those toughest moments is when that intimacy, the other end of intimacy, grows you and builds you.
Correct. Yes, so intimacy, that was one thing that like I want to say in the first week that me and the wife talked, we had a conversation of what is the secret what is the deepest, darkest secret that you're willing to tell me right now? And this is like the first week. And I'm like, this may be a game changer, but if I'm going to be true and authentic and a very upfront person, and I want her to do the same, boom, blah, blah, blah. And it was definitely relieving on my end. And then there were some aspects that I was like, I think I'm going to go do some research.
Yeah.
And the research concluded that she was 100% true of what she said and everything. So, but when he dropped that line on you, what were you thinking?
First thing I thought is, my husband's being clever again. Like, he wants to end this conversation, so he's over the back and forth right now, not in a bad way.
Right.
Like, I was really kind of trolling him a little bit, because he and I had already talked about that a long time ago, and he got me to understand where he was coming from.
Right.
And so the point I was making mention of was, hey, it's a better way to say that type of person is my preference, because it comes across as if it's saying you're second best, right? So I was just saying, hey, I would have rather someone said, like, hey, I naturally gravitate, maybe, or that's what typically catches my eye initially, or not. I said preference is a strong word in my opinion.
And she's referring to the show.
Right.
So he and I had that conversation a long time ago, so that's why I was kind of like making fun. But after he explained it a long time ago, I was like, okay, now I understand where he's coming from, because initially I didn't necessarily care for that verbiage myself.
Okay.
So you were triggered.
No, I wasn't triggered. I was
Can we put a triggered counter on the screen, right?
No.
1, 2.
I was trolling.
Yeah.
Like I do sometimes.
Right. But that, I think that's a great thing to unpack of natural.
We're not going to let her off the hook. She didn't answer the question.
I did answer the question.
How did you feel?
I didn't feel any type of way, because we had already talked about it. And
No. How did you feel? Now I'm being.
Yeah,
nosy.
you are.
Yeah.
How did you feel? I want to know.
Not,
I'm being selfish right now. How did you feel when I dropped that line? How did it make you feel? Let me rephrase the question, Your Honor.
I felt like, aw, and then smarted.
Right.
Smart.
You can say it.
Bleep.
You can say it.
Don't let them see the real you. Go on, Kurt.
Because he love to
Be authentic now. No, don't hide it now. Don't put your representative on the camera now.
No, that's that is a thing that I think, once again, I think that's like a surface level of getting in your way, of where your preference or whatever. A lot of people's preferences are toxic.
Right. How's their preference working out for you now?
Correct.
You can't necessarily say that. So, like, I don't have a type.
Yeah.
I'm more so, I'm intellectually attracted. Like,
right.
And so, and he is too. And that's kind of how we, it wasn't your beauty.
Yeah, when she said, I'm a sapiosexual, girl.
Right.
What's the square root of 82?
Right.
How's that feel?
How does it?
What?
And he was like, ooh, I'm coming to take you out.
That's that mature wisdom. That's that deep in. Yeah.
Are you emotionally intelligent?
Correct. How do you handle this
Conflict.
situation?
How do you handle conflict?
Ooh,
It depends.
so I would.
Right, because I done seen rah before.
Right.
And then I done seen, come on, baby,
Hey, that's the depth of
It
a
depends.
person, right?
It depends on how full my cup is.
Right.
Like you mentioned, being drained. If I'm drained, I have
yes.
a higher tendency to choose violence.
He'll be like,
If I'm full, then I have more patience to
Yes.
extend. Right.
Yeah, there are times where I'm just like, I'm just going to go sit in the car. I always laughed at this, seeing older people just sitting in the driveway, and I fully understand it now. Just be sitting there, just staring. It's called decompression, right?
That sound familiar?
yes, that's our word right
All
there.
right. That's
Oh, really?
my word.
I didn't mean I use it. I mean, I have come to respect it.
Oh, okay. You will respect my authority. That's word the South
Hold on
Park.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the intimacy of that, like intimacy is really just seeing your authentic, transparent, vulnerable self and you being available for that. And then of course the physical intimacy is just the physical aspect of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, the physical, yes, it'll take you a relationship, but it has a ceiling.
Ooh, I like
It has a ceiling. It, like, for example, right, when we've had those deep moments where we were in the middle of conflict, and we were hashing through those things, and it could be tumultuous because it's growth, right?
Right,
and
right.
and it's uncomfortable, and sometimes it's painful.
right.
And you got to take a hard look at yourself, and you got to build up the confidence to say or communicate something that you necessarily didn't want to say or bring about.
Right.
And I can remember one time, I won't say specifically what we were talking about, but I explained something to her,
Yeah.
and the look on her face was like, "Oh my God, I had no idea." And she said, "I just want to hug you and grab you and take care of you."
Yeah.
That was, and instantly ceiling for intimacy rose because
Right,
through
right.
those deep, uncomfortable conversations, it made you appreciate your partner and understand a bit more.
Right. Oh, that's well done.
Oh, it took an act of Congress to get it across. Like it was.
Well, you know how sometimes somebody can say something to you, right? And you can feel like, gosh, this person is not understanding me.
Yeah.
And then they can kind of deter you from sharing or whatnot.
Right.
My thing is, I don't look at it like, hey, I'm the only person that needs to be taken care of emotionally.
Right.
Like when I say, I want to know you, I want to understand you, I really mean that. And so whenever I do discover something that I didn't, I'm like that, it helps me to adjust because, when you may have tried to explain it to me before, I probably just didn't get it. It could have been the verbiage that he used. It could have been,
Right.
Multitude of things. And so whenever there's that awakening, so to speak, it's like, oh my gosh. And then I think that there's an emotion behind it, like, gosh, had I known this, I
Right.
wish I had known this a long time ago.
Right.
Because I could have been there for him.
Yeah.
In the way that he needed me to be. So that's why he received that type of, expression from me.
Man.
And 5 minutes before that, she could have threw me out the window.
Yeah, right.
Like
Eating
literally,
carpet,
yeah.
push him out the bed, like I be wanting to do so much.
But once again, you mentioned the word emotional intelligence, and to
Right.
be able to control your emotions, to be present, and when he finally revealed that, it's straight, instant love.
Right. And it was
You
empathy.
recognize that.
It was empathy as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, gosh, all this time I've been hurting you, not
Right.
intentionally.
Right.
But it still hurt. I mean,
Yeah.
it affected you, and that's something I would never want to do, and especially intentionally. So,
Yeah.
having those conversations, and they're emotionally tied, and of course, women, we are emotional. Like, it is not easy at all. It's very, very, very uncomfortable. It's times I'm like, I'm gritting my teeth on the inside, but it's like, it's like, dang, I think about where we came from and like where we are now, and I think I'm getting much better as far as being able to, I guess, articulate myself in a more tactful way, you know, because sometimes you don't even know how you come across.
Right.
You know, and sometimes I could be a straight shooter, right? And he pretty much, that word tact came about because of him. You know, I had to realize, like, dang, you know, if I want him to receive what I'm saying, gotta put a little softness on there. You know, I have to. One thing I really didn't realize was that he would always say, "You're telling me about the situation." I'm like, "Yeah," but not the feeling. So
okay.
I learned, or he taught me how to express the feeling. He said that's what men understand. Like, hey, I'm feeling this, even though it's tied to the situation,
right,
but the actual feeling and why I feel that way. So we have learned how to communicate a lot better, you know, and get production, like, I mean, get results, you know, from those conversations. And it's like, gosh, I love the fact that now I could just say, hey, babe, you know, like, hey, you know, I want to, you know, like, hey, I need to talk about this. I need to express myself. Or, hey, I'm feeling such and such, you know.
And let me provide a little bit more fidelity behind what she's saying, right? And so what I tried to explain to her, we're men, we think on a linear level.
Right.
If you bring to me the situation and it's a problem, I'm looking at the situation for a fix.
Right.
And if I'm giving you the fix and you're not receiving the fix of the situation, right?
Right.
I'm not adept at women's intuition enough to understand that you need a certain emotional support.
Right.
Because I'm only receiving the situation.
Correct.
And so if you don't lead with if you don't want to fix to the situation, don't lead with the situation. Telling me how you feel and what you need emotionally, my brain automatically goes there.
Yeah.
Because it's linear. Hey, I feel neglected. Okay. Here's my emotional fix, not the situational fix of the moment. So that's what she means by that.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I have learned also in a conversation, because I'm a fixer, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm getting a rant or something like that, and I've learned at the very beginning is like, do you want me to help, or do you just want me to listen, or do you want me to do both? And so,
or what do you need?
There it is. What do you need? And so that has given me so much peace, because then that switch is like, all right, right now I just need to pay attention to her emotions. I need to pay attention to how she's feeling about this, blah, blah, blah. And then if I need to, all right, what are some solutions that we could possibly go through, stuff like that. And that's giving me so much peace, because then now I'm not confused. Like, do I need? I don't want to do the wrong thing at the wrong time, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I got a question for you now.
Come on with it.
How did you feel when she told you that?
I finally felt like my feelings, I understand, are not reality, right?
Right.
So I finally felt like she actually heard me for a change.
Yeah.
That I was listened to.
Yeah.
Right. So we talk about that communication gap when you're working through the issues.
Right.
When you're trying to get something to land and be received the way you want it, it may not always happen.
Right.
But at those moments through trekking, that's what makes the other side of those uncomfortable conversations or moments worth it.
Yeah.
And when you feel that from your partner, like, I can feel the compassion and the understanding of the way she embraced me, and she was like, oh, I didn't know, like, it made it worth it to get to that point.
Yeah. Oh yes, to be heard. I think that is a great thing, because I think that's one thing that we lack in society, and because we're so individually just trying to figure things out ourselves, right? We kind of neglect people, and that's something that I always tell my kids, and I pray for, like, just let me be open to see opportunities, just to give somebody a smile or open up a door. Like, you never know what those things can do. And if you do that to people that you don't know, you expand that to people that you love, then now you give the opportunity to hear somebody, to listen.
Exactly. I've seen that small things change the courses of some people's lives in a moment. You know, you hear about these things where some people could choose to want to be on the verge of self-transition.
Right.
And one kind person could say, hey, brother, good day, or something like that. And that could flip that whole entire switch.
I've had that happen to me once in that like general scenario. And I've actually had about 3 or 4 people that I've talked out of that.
Most definitely.
Right.
Most definitely.
And the beautiful thing is, at least I know 2 of them right now are actually thriving.
That's good. That's wonderful.
One of them I had to cut off. I just had like, whew, man, getting lied to and threatened and all this other stuff. I know it's some demons talking, but still to a point, I gotta love you from a distance. And sometimes that distance is, I think I'm enabling you, so for your relationship, for your life and stuff, you're relying on me a little bit too much. So until you get to this point, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I'm at peace with that. What's good people? Yeah, they was dropping some knowledge, weren't they? So why don't you go ahead and join us next week so that they can continue to drop these messages on y'all. You know what I'm saying? Once again, this is the Just the Messenger podcast, where we're just trying to change the world one message at a time. And what's that message? The message of hope, of love, of joy, and of peace. And until next time, Selah.